Welcome back to Killer Fun, where we explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week. I'm Christy, and today, we do not have dark winds for you. Life got in the way. Jackie and I have just had our butts kicked with stuff happening in our lives, and so I need to bring you an Outtakes episode. Thankfully, we have Outtakes from Eric, the show about a puppeteer whose son goes missing, and the Instigators, the basically straight to streaming action sort of comedy movie that we've covered. So I don't quite have what's promised, but I do have brand new, never heard before on the show material for you today. We will be back with you next time with Dark Winds, promise. And I'm so looking forward to talking about it. But today I have the outtakes from Eric. I have a fun story about yawning. We talk about The Walking Dead. It just didn't fit, but it was a little tangent we went on. So, it was a thing. Flubs. Hungary is a lovely place to visit. Who do we have to blame for Caillou? It smells good. And the overcorrection has happened. Enjoy. Oh, God. Every time I hit record. So when Cade was little, every time he had to perform,
okay,
like when he did like the little elementary school like productions of things, it was so I'd wait for it, and about 4 or 5 minutes in, he'd do, and it was just like a nervous response, but
giant yawn.
I mean, like every 5 minutes, every single elementary school performance from pre-K to sixth grade.
That is so funny.
It was hilarious. It was so funny. Then we have Dan Fogler as Lenny, Vincent's best friend. He was in the Fantastic Beasts film series. He was in Walking Dead. And I was like, why don't I recognize him from Walking Dead? Because he wasn't in it until season 9.
Oh.
And I had stopped watching by
Yep,
then.
I stopped it too.
Yeah. So, yeah, the guy with the baseball bat was...
Yeah, that was it.
That I was about done. I'm like, it's just like violent fetish. I'm done.
I got annoyed because I was like, really? It's starting to be cyclical.
I mean, right?
And
exactly.
I was like,
it was just
moving.
The governor, but meaner.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It was the same story, all with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
It was all bedazzled violently.
Yeah, exactly. From the trailer, I did not to be... Vincent talks to himself in the voice that he and Edgar developed for manifestation of a split personality, or just, is it? Oh, no. Let me say that again.
Yeah.
Because I got lost in the middle of it. Hungary's one of those places that I don't know that I would like think to say, let's go to Hungary on vacation.
Oh, yeah, no. I went on choir tour.
Oh.
Like, it was my college choir.
Uh-huh.
We did a exchange thing, and so we went and we did
that's so cool.
performances.
Uh-huh.
And then sang with the sister college that we were working with there. So I wouldn't have thought it either.
Yeah.
I really liked it once I got there.
That's very cool. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's what they were doing.
No,
the show.
Kids shows in the 80s weren't as educationally sound.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I don't know, they were better. I'm just kidding. I mean, they were better, but no shade.
They were less annoying.
Who do we have to blame for Caillou?
I don't know. Who do we have to blame for Dora the Explorer?
Oh,
you liked Dora the Explorer?
I can't say I liked it, but it wasn't Caillou. But, Caillou set the bar.
I mean, for real. If it's like...
But like Backyardigans, I was a little like... There were certain things that were just so annoying. And I was like, it just doesn't serve the story, And then other things.
The music was really fun.
The music was fun.
And they were very people of color coded, too, which I really appreciated.
But there were certain things about the show that I was just like, as a parent, like the kids probably thought it was great. And I was like twitching. Like, I want to hear that.
Okay, that's fair.
Thankfully, we had Yo Gabba Gabba. Thank you, DJ Lance Rock.
There you go.
For continuing to be DJ Lance Rock, because that show is delightful for all ages. It was great.
Yeah.
We could talk about kids' TV shows all day.
We could. If I never see the Teletubbies ever again, it'll be too soon.
Absolutely. I'm so glad I was in Korea for that because we did not watch it. I avoided that one.
So jealous. Both my kids loved the baby in the sun.
Oh, nope. I avoided it. Didn't get them there on our TV.
Nice.
So
Good for you. I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to lie.
But
a friend of mine in high school bought a bottle of Dracar Noir for herself because she liked it and was like, I shouldn't have to wait for a boy to smell like this.
That's right. That's right. I did have Isimiaki was a little expensive. So, but I had friends who would go to the department store and they knew I like it. And they would go get like the scent thing and they'd bring it back and then we'd put it in the car.
Oh,
like a car freshener.
Nice. Nice. Smart. Why didn't I ever think of that? My car always smelled bad.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have air conditioning in Texas.
Oh my gosh. That is torture. That's torture.
So could alcoholism...
Our generation has this adulting is hard thing. And I don't know, but maybe it would have been less like, if we were less surprised by it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
I'm
sure we'll overcorrect.
I know. Well, yes, because I've scared my 20-year-old. I have already overcorrected. I can confirm the overcorrection has happened. He's never going to move out. I'm going to die in this house when all I want to do is go live in a swanky apartment downtown.
My husband is already talking about this. Already. And I looked at it, I was like, I'm not old yet. I'm getting there. I feel it.
I'm like, I feel like I can get both kids through college and like establish somewhere before I can give up their bedrooms.
Yeah. I feel like it's like, I guess it's because my dad, an older man, went into the whole independent living thing, which is the swanky apartment that we all want, right? With the whole thing. And I have this image of it being something you do in retirement, like way down the line. And like my husband is like, let's do it sooner than that. And I'm having like a little bit of a hard time with that because I'm like, but that makes me feel like old. And I was like, I don't know that you're prepared for the level of bougie I need for that to happen now.
See, and I feel like I'm splitting the difference between you and your husband. You're like, oh, retirement. And I'm like, 10, 12 years.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny.
But I can still enjoy it.
And that is something to think about. That's why my dad went when he did.
Yeah, so he could enjoy it.
So he could enjoy it. More people who are older are realizing that you can do that a little earlier. And that that way it's less of a shock later on when it's harder to deal with that change. So, dang it, people are making points. And they're stabby.
All of the sources that we use to inform our discussion here on Killer Fun Podcast can be found on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Killer Fun Podcast, exploring the intersection of crime and entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Killer Fun Pod, or you can send us an email at killerfunpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share a link to whatever information you're looking for. We love to hear from you. You might learn a little something too. All right, I have another set of outtakes from the Instigators. So, of course, there's flubs. There's always flubs. And then, goodness, did we ever have to try and figure out what was happening with the Boston mayoral elections so that we could talk about it accurately? Thank you to Jackie for making sure that we looked it up and we got it all right. We decided that the name Rory is burned. Motorcycle breathalyzers, child support, you want your boots in Montreal, and, just because sometimes you meet your goals doesn't really mean that it's going to make you happy. Enjoy. And then Casey Affleck, as we mentioned, is Cobby, a loudmouth career criminal. Casey Affleck's younger brother.
Hold on.
Oh, no, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me try that again. Casey Affleck was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for playing Robert Ford in The Assassination. The Assassination? We had mimosas.
We might need more.
Well, sadly, I'm out of champagne.
You do have wine.
I do have wine. You're not wrong.
We are off track now. Okay.
If one of them had gotten 40% of the vote and one of them had gotten 30% of the vote, or one had gotten, let me think about that. I mean, a plurality.
Okay.
Like it would have been, it would have been a very rare, unusual case for this to be happening. It wasn't like somebody didn't get 51% of the vote.
Right.
That's not how this works.
So we're saying that Boston is plurality.
I believe so. That's my
And not
understanding.
majority.
Yeah.
So they would have both had to get, if there's no third candidates, but no, we didn't hear anything about a third candidate.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I would have assumed that there would have been a third candidate who spoiled
Maybe. So what we're saying though is that they had to have gotten exactly the same percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the mayor was also dumb.
Yes, he was.
So for him or any of his cronies to think that it was a foregone conclusion, it's just their narcissism showing a little bit. But you're right. It would be super rare because it's not a majority.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, just suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you didn't have this big, gigantic party.
Like, can we look that up? Maybe we can add it. Wait. Boston mayoral.
It's hard to find.
The question is, can Google correct what I just wrote? Okay. Yeah, they're a plurality.
Yeah, because it's all like, when you look, it's all about like the pre-election. There probably wouldn't be a third. There'd be very rare there'd be a third party candidate, I think, from what I was reading.
Wait. So this is an article in 2023, somebody arguing for ranked choice voting. Oh, wait. No. Hold on. No. No, I think it is actually a majority.
You think it's a majority and not a plurality?
Yeah, because that's why I think the article, it's hard to tell, but the article seems to be working off the assumption it's a majority because it's talking about all these costly low turnout runoffs that they have.
Okay.
And that they want to avoid that. But this is the problem with plurality. So they're arguing for, right? So like they're arguing for this ranked choice voting because plurality would not solve the problem of these runoffs necessarily.
Right, but a lot of these runoffs weren't the actual election for the mayor. They were the candidates within the parties.
So they're talking.
That's what I was finding.
That article was talking about mayors.
Okay,
but
but it was the mayoral election, but like the candidates. That's what I was finding. It was all about they were trying to get a majority within the candidates that end up on the final ballot, and that they were having to do all these runoffs because nobody was getting majorities in order to be the.
You're talking about
candidates.
Primaries.
Yes. That's what I was finding.
Okay, yeah. No, that article was not talking about primaries.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
But this was a different article than what you were reading.
Yeah. Well, yes, because I couldn't find anything that was talking conclusively about the Boston.
Okay, this is the Boston Charter. Special preliminary elections. A call for a special preliminary election as provided in the 15th shall be vote of the city council and no such vote presented to the mayor for his approval. All special elections, blah, 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 no open nomination. Okay. That's not for the right thing that I'm thinking. Ugh. Why is it so hard to... This seems like a simple answer.
It seems like it should be like, do the Boston mayoral elections run on plurality or majority? That seems like it should be what it is, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to discern what this is.
This is so weird. I'm like, this is so funny.
This is why I went with this article from Ballotopedia, where it was like, no, runoff elections are basically this.
Okay. They have a preliminary election. The election held for the purpose of nominating candidates whose names shall appear on the ballot as a municipal election. So that is different than a party's primary.
Right.
So this is a different type of...
Right. And yes, it's like these preliminary elections that aren't necessarily party related.
But these are the ones that are having the runoffs.
Right. But that's not what they were talking about in the movie.
That could have been exactly what they're talking about. If they're just calling it the runoffs, these are the preliminary elections. Just because the mayor's the incumbent doesn't mean that he's necessarily...
Well, but at the end of the movie, they're like kicking him out.
That's what I thought. It was a major, like a regular election.
Exactly. It's so confusing. Okay.
I'm like, it's got to be here. Okay, so that's special preliminaries. I'm like, I feel like we should know this if we're going to talk about it. Right? Like, I feel like if we're going to talk about that the runoff was a dumb choice, we have to be able to say that it's not what they do.
We could, here's what we can also say is that it's super unclear. It makes you think one thing, but that's not how it seems to actually happen in Boston, is that the runoffs tend to be prior to the election, but they really made it seem like this was the election.
But we don't know that the runoffs are uncommon for the election. Right?
No, I think we do. I think we know that that's not, because I was looking this stuff up earlier this week.
I know.
And it was all like, there was reasons why I chose this one and not going deeper into it, because it doesn't make sense. And that there's, yeah.
Okay.
But I just don't think that I think the runoff was a device that they used to move the story along so that they didn't have to have any other elections to be a part of it. So I don't know that it's actually accurate. Though it would be super rare for there to be runoffs for this type of election.
That's what I'm asking how you know. That, because if we're going to say that, and we're going to say like they were a little silly for choosing this because it's super rare, we have to be able to say we know that it's super rare.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying, is that if we're going to say something about a place and say, well, it's super rare for them to have these kind of runoff elections, so it was a silly choice, but we don't really know that that's true.
Okay.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's why I was wondering if we could actually find out, because we're talking about these other states that have pluralities, and we talk about these other things, but it's not a statewide election, it's only mayor. And so for us to say, we said a lot, but we didn't actually confirm that that's what happens in Boston.
Okay.
But if we're going to talk about Boston, like I'm just worried about it kind of sounding kind of weird, because in the beginning you were like, they're not using the term the way they're supposed to use the term. Then we have to be sure that they're actually wrong.
So should I just cut all of that
if we don't want to spend the time to figure it out, then yeah. But I think it's kind of a fun point. So I kind of don't want to give up on it unless we feel like we just don't have time.
I mean, I have all the time, so it's up to you.
I don't know. No, it's really up to you, because I feel like you said that you spent the time researching. You've done the work.
I couldn't find the like that there's that there were runoffs were common for post-election, and that's the way they made it seem, was that this was not a
preliminary.
This was not a preliminary. This was deciding the whole shebang. So it was because they have this whole runoff
the preliminary
things that they're doing, that when it came down to it, Boston chooses 2 women of color for runoff election in historic mayoral race. Okay. But then I'm overjoyed that we are confident we've made the top 2 and are moving on to the final election. So do they use runoff as shorthand for the final mayoral election? Really? It seems like all of it is beforehand.
Well, she said, but we're going to the final election.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, it seems like runoff is like prior to all of that, but the way they behaved after the election results came out, it was the final election. So is it a runoff or is it a final?
I don't know. Oh, this is not for mayor. This is for city council. This is, well, I can see why they want the ranked choice, because whatever is happening now is like bananas.
Like, right. I mean, people do not want to go vote every 3rd week in these runoff elections.
This is weird. I mean, hold on.
Okay.
How the fuck does Boston elect a mayor? That's where I'm at. Like, how? This is amazing that it's like so hard to find like this preliminary shit.
Like it should be like, first they do this, first they do that, then they do that, then they do this, then they do that, and then we have the general election.
Elect a mayor. Okay, hold on. Okay, Boston has a, this is Wikipedia. Boston has a mayor council government. Boston's mayoral elections are nonpartisan, as in all municipal elections in Boston, and elect a mayor to 4-year term. There are no term limits. This is all you have, really? No.
Wait, so they're nonpartisan, but they made a big deal about how Michelli was a Democrat and not reporting stuff to the DNC.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that does happen. School board elections are technically nonpartisan too.
Right.
But we know who's who.
Right. But yes, but we know who's who. But like, why would he have to report it to the DNC?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless he's getting funds. I guess he could still get funds, even if it's technically not a Democrat. Like, you can't have the D next to your name.
Right.
But maybe the party can still. This is ridiculous. This is insane. How is this so hard to them to explain?
I don't know. This is why people hate politics.
Yeah,
This part is like, you've made it convoluted, and so it makes it challenging.
I mean, it's weird. Because the preliminaries, according to the charter, was to determine who would be on the
Right. And
so if it's just preliminary after preliminary until the final, like if it's just like
runoffs, right?
And there's just, like a friggin' sports tournament,
right?
Until the end, the final one could be called the runoff and the final election all at once, even if that's technically the final. It's just actually the last runoff.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Both are true.
Right. So
they
we don't. Yes.
I think
so. But the way they presented it in the
thing,
it seemed like it was the only.
It was the only one. But maybe, like you said, they're using runoff, even though it's just really the last runoff of all the candidates. That's why they want ranked choice, because it would stop all that, because it would automatically eliminate and rank them, and then somebody would win.
Right.
Maybe that's what we talk about.
Okay.
Maybe how confusing it is.
Right.
But we won't use fucking.
Yeah.
Okay. But I might pause for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's funny. I think that's the funny part.
Right. Yes, I think you're right.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it from that perspective. Yes. Poor Rory. Also, Rory, really? I mean, stop naming characters after other characters who are more iconic than the character you are playing. This Rory Gilmore.
Oh.
Nobody else gets to be Rory.
No, I'm sorry. We're done. Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A 50-something-year-old man named Rory is
I can't.
like...
No, Gilmore Girls has it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah. And that took place in the same general area of the United States. Come on. It's all true. like I could I could drive to from Boston to where the Gilmores lived in less time than I could drive from my house to Dallas.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
For us, that is all one area.
That's right.
Tiny little area.
Yes. Can a motorcycle even be fit with a breathalyzer?
I mean, I would assume so. They're pretty fancy. They have CarPlay, so I feel like they can.
This is true. So it's very challenging, though, because there's just not a lot of need for it. Though we see Cobby, getting the kid to blow into his breathalyzer, and he asks, I'm like, dude, call an Uber.
Oh, I know.
But whatever. Low-cost Interlock, who installs these sort of devices on cars. I had an article about it, basically. About 25% of motorcyclists who were involved in fatal crashes in 2016 had a blood alcohol concentration exceeding the legal limit, which seems unfortunate. So don't drink and drive, kids. Yep. Just don't do it. If you've been involved in a obviously non-fatal, you're still alive.
You're still alive, so.
And you still need to be able to drive places. They may install a breathalyzer on your vehicle, and that basically means you have to blow far, far, far below the legal limit, which basically means don't drink at all to be able to start your vehicle. There are devices for this. They're mostly made for cars.
I can imagine.
Right? Because the market for it is so small. The market for motorcycle ignition interlock devices is like less than 1% of all of them required. When they modify them for use on a motorcycle, there's a lot of things they have to take into consideration that I didn't even think of. Weather exposure.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to be like out and get rained on and there's going to be dust and, there's a lot more vibrations, and how do you make it secure so that it can't be removed either because somebody's trying to steal it or because somebody wants to take it off so they can just drive their vehicle. How much power does it draw? And I didn't realize this, but there's what they call rolling retests. So if you're in a car, your breathalyzer is set to go off at certain intervals, and you're supposed to blow it again so that you can't start the car with somebody else blowing into it.
Right.
And then drive away from that person. You have to be able to continually do that. Well, that's a dangerous operation on a motorcycle, and more, how do you hear it?
Right.
Hopefully you're driving with a helmet on. And the motorcycles are loud. You may not hear it. And then it's going to cut
means
power.
that it has to have it has to be part of the mic system for the helmet.
Assuming that you have one.
Yeah, it depends on the motorcycle.
All of them do, right? Because not all of them do. So it's like, there's a lot of considerations.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. But if you are required to install one on a motorcycle, the court is legally required to give you a list of approved vendors who can install such a thing. So they might tell you you're not allowed to have a motorcycle.
I mean, maybe, but that's an economic drain. Because it's way less expensive to have a motorcycle, like especially the little crock truck he was driving.
Yeah.
It's way less expensive to have that than it is a car. So if that's your vehicle.
You know what else is less expensive than having a car?
Not drinking and driving.
Exactly. Call an Uber. It's always cheaper. It's cheaper than going to prison or to court. So Roy was right to be concerned about his unpaid child support.
Well, yes.
I mean, you can, in Massachusetts, if you do not pay your child support, you may end up in jail. Now, of course, there's a lot of steps before you end up in jail and wage garnishment and all these other things. But it's not an automatic sentence. But he was right to be concerned in Massachusetts.
Yes.
That he had not paid his child support in a timely fashion. Boots. You really will need them for a Montreal winter. So So Concordia is a university in Montreal, and people who've not experienced a harsh winter sometimes go there to go to school. So they have on their website about the things you might want to know, and basically you gotta have boots. You want rubber sole boots with grips because there's going to be ice under the snow. You want layers and layers. Having your feet be warm is one of the most important things in the city of Montreal, let alone traversing, wilderness to try and get there.
Yes.
And they suggested to maybe buy your boots one size large so that you can have layers of socks as well.
That's true. Every time I buy boots, it's at least any kind of boot though, at least a half size, if not a whole size bigger.
Yeah. So that you can sock it up.
So you can wear socks.
That's right.
Yeah. Cause you might want some nice fuzzy socks or something, Also boots with the fur, man. I am on board with that.
Yeah. That's good too. And then you have to worry less about the socks.
Yeah. I mean, I have some UGG boots that have the fur, right? But they are actually my regular size.
Okay.
But and you can't wear socks with them.
Okay.
Also, I don't want to.
Right.
They're waterproof when you zip those suckers up and the fur is in there, nothing is getting through.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
They've been good.
Oh, good.
But I wouldn't recommend it for generally.
Yeah.
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 Get
just
you wear socks.
Yeah. Because otherwise your boots are going to get stinky.
They get, And I don't have to wear them as much. So
right. I mean,
can
yes.
air them out in Febreze.
That's right. So Dr. Rivera asked Rory if after sort of accomplishing a goal, if it made him feel in the way he anticipated it. I don't want to give away too much. Humans try and find happiness, but sometimes our efforts actually result in the exact opposite of what we want. So Time magazine, of all places. 6 surprising things that you think are making you happy but are doing the opposite.
Ooh.
So all right, I don't know that we're going to talk about all of them, but they do talk about, I'm going to talk about a few that are interesting. So we think that not feeling the negative emotions is what happiness is. So we want to squish things like anger or fear or resentment. And actually not feeling those things does not make us happy.
No, we need to deal with them.
Happiness comes from resolving them.
Not ignoring them.
Yes, it can actually make you much less happy. Living in a city can make you feel less happy. That they found that urban living can be stressful for a lot of people, and a lot of anxiety, that our brains are really only wired to live in groups of about 150.
Yeah.
And so if you're constantly in large groups, like in a city, you go places and do things. You're in a shopping mall, or you're at school or whatever, and you're regularly around groups that are larger than that.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But being in the city and constantly hearing the sounds and all of those things can raise your anxiety level to a point where it can be more stressful than you realize.
Yeah.
The good news is that's getting into nature, even places like a park that's in the heart of a city, and just having a little bit of space to walk around and do things.
Yeah.
Can help.
It
can alleviate it. So if you're finding yourself living in a city and stressed about it, find a park and go walk around for a little while, and you're probably going to feel better.
Yeah. If you're in Boston, go to the Commons.
There
New
you
York
go.
City, go to Central Park. If you're in San Antonio, go to San Pedro Springs
That's
Park.
right. Exactly.
Second oldest in the country.
That's so cool.
Behind Boston Commons.
That's so cool. Having a ton of free time actually makes you less happy, because if you have too much free time, you don't have goals and objectives, and you feel better when you're working towards accomplishing something. Chasing success. I guess you could say that's what Rory was trying to do. He was chasing a certain goal, and then, once he reached it, he found that there's something called the arrival fallacy. Yes. That once you get there, you may be happy for a little while, but not for the long term.
Yes, we overestimate the power of achieving the goal.
Right.
And how good that will feel and how long you will feel that.
Yes.
And we also overestimate how a negative experience will impact us and carry us forward and how we will feel about it in the future as well.
That's all. Yes. That is also a good point. So don't necessarily avoid the negative things that may happen or be a result, because you're not going to feel them as acutely as you think you will. And then, buying the fancy things. It's sort of like the arrival fallacy. Like it makes you happy for a while, but it's not really like long-term things. They suggest, experiences over things, but that's only true if you have all your basic needs met.
Well, that's true too. Also, I have to work on that one.
I know.
Because I like buying things. I find it to be an experience.
I also find it to be an experience. And you know what? There are things that I'm like, I'm so glad I bought that. And it'll have been a long time since I bought it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm still so happy that I have this thing.
Yeah. Like I searched for it. I found the thing.
It brought me joy. So maybe that's not for everybody. But those are also tend to be small things. Like I'm sitting here still feeling happy that I bought an extra insulated coffee carafe.
Yes, because brunch today, there was extra coffee.
There was coffee for everybody. Yeah. It was great. 8 people in the house. Everybody could have as much coffee as they wanted.
It was an experience.
It was an experience. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just have to experience it. But, and you know what? I anticipate that I'm going to feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
Months from now, because there's enough times when I go to get coffee and there's not enough of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is. I mean, I think there's people who buy things, who just buy them and buy them and buy them. And they buy them thinking that somehow because I'm buying this brand or this thing or whatever, or this trend, if I'm just buying, it'll automatically change how others view them. Oh. Right? And they'll automatically change their status.
There you go.
And I think that's the idea of like, it's chasing the Joneses kind of thing. Like but it's not the same thing as like, I don't know, others who enjoy the things, because I like the things that have the memories.
Sure.
I get that experiences are big, but experiences are more expensive than the small things I buy that make me happy.
Right.
So
yeah, but you also, I think mainly what they're talking about, like the expensive watch.
Yeah,
that you're buying.
Okay.
Does it mean something to you, or are you buying it for status? If you're buying it for status, it's going to make you less happy in the long term than you think it's going to. But if you're buying it as an experience, as a representation of something for yourself,
then you might feel very good about it.
Yeah, you may feel good about it for a long time. So,
agreed.
But I think a lot of people tend to buy things as I'm going to buy this thing and it's going to make me happy.
Yeah,
and then the expensive shoes fall apart or whatever. And then they're sad about it. Yeah. And that made them less happy for long. Anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah. If the things actually do make you happy, it's fine.
Yeah. 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 And we won't open the Pandora's box of how that could go awry. Because we've done other episodes on that. You can go find them.
That's right. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, no. Let me try that again. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for your patience as we brought you another unexpected outtake episode. We will be back with you next time with Dark Winds. We're so excited to talk about this very Indigenous cast, trying to talk about Indigenous stories in an accurate way. And we really love that there's Indigenous actors. It's wonderful, but also crimey and hard to watch. So know that. Check it out, and we'll be with you to talk about it in just a couple weeks. Thank you so much for listening. We know you make a choice, and we really, really appreciate it. We don't just come on the radio. You choose to download us. And let me tell you, it is way more fun when you listen with a friend. Tell a friend, somebody, you have somebody in your life who likes this kind of stuff, and you should tell them about this show, and you should listen to it. And then join us. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and wash your hands.
Da, da, da.